Episode 56 DX, May 4, 2023. The write a grant with help from an Environmental Justice Center for PM2.5 monitors handed out to near neighbors of residential wood burners issue. United States. https://www.epa.gov/environmental-justice/environmental-justice-and-technical-assistance. RAWS-UP recommendation to any resident against wood smoke emission particulates. Contact your municipal alderperson or council member and your municipal health department and ask them to sponsor a local ordinance voted on by the local municipal council, an ordinance to measure particulate pollution, PM2.5, with Purple Air PM2.5 monitors as evidence of pollution requiring regulation or shut down of the indoor wood-burning appliance which is emitting above Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, limits of PM2.5 the polluting particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size. PM2.5 is the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems. If a PM2.5 monitor is hung from the eaves of a neighboring house, the monitor is measuring the emissions at the fence line, hyperlocalized to the stack of the residential wood burner. If the municipality does not have the funds to hand out $249 Purple Air PM2.5 monitors to any resident who complains of wood smoke entering their yards and infiltrating their houses, and affecting their health, you should turn to writing a grant using the Biden administration's new grant writing mentors. If the municipality does not have the funds to enforce the ordinance, you should add that expense for a pilot project to the grant you are already writing. These centers will provide training and other assistance to build capacity for navigating federal grant application systems, writing strong grant proposals, and effectively managing grant funding. For instance, 3 out of the 5 center partners in Region 5, which includes Wisconsin, are Environmental Health Watch, EHW, the School of Public Health, University of Illinois, Chicago, and the Smart Energy Design Center, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, SEDAC. For instance, for Wisconsin, according to the map, Wisconsin is Region 5 and the Technical Assistance Centers for Environmental Justice Thriving Communities are the following 5 partners, under the umbrella center Region 5 Blacks and Green, BIG. They serve underserved communities, such as minorities and low-income people, who are experiencing environmental injustice. These centers will provide training and other assistance to build capacity for navigating federal grant application systems, writing strong grant proposals, and effectively managing grant funding. Blacks and Green, BIG, the Midwest Tribal Energy Resources Association, TERRA. Black Environmental Leaders, BEL. Environmental Health Watch, EHW. The School of Public Health, University of Illinois, Chicago. The Smart Energy Design Center, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, SEDAC. EPA has selected the following 14 organizations to serve as Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers, along with their partners. University of Connecticut. West Harlem Environmental Action Incorporated. Inter-American University of Puerto Rico Metro Campus. National Wildlife Federation. Deep South Center for Environmental Justice. Research Triangle Institute. Blacks and Green, Region 5. University of Minnesota. New Mexico State University. Wichita State University. University of Arizona. San Diego State University. Willamette Partnership. University of Washington. The Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers Program. Additional information. Read the press release announcing the 17 EJADE tax. EJADE tax selection fact sheet, PDF, 256.25 kilobytes. Informational video on the Environmental and Climate Justice Communities Grants Program. Clean Energy Demonstration Program on current and former mine land. Energy improvements in rural or remote areas. EPA has selected 17 Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers (EJTCACs) in partnership with the U.S. Department of Energy that will receive $177 million to help underserved and overburdened communities across the country. Each of the technical assistance centers will receive at least $10 million to remove barriers and improve accessibility for communities with environmental justice concerns. With this critical investment, these centers will provide training and other assistance to build capacity for navigating federal grant application systems, writing strong grant proposals, and effectively managing grant funding. In addition, these centers will provide guidance on community engagement, meeting facilitation, and translation and interpretation services for limited English-speaking participants, thus removing barriers and improving accessibility for communities with environmental justice concerns. Each of the technical assistance centers will also create and manage communication channels to ensure all communities have direct access to resources and information. Learn more about the 17 EJTCACs, PDF, 328.86 kilobytes. The EJTCAC program is part of the Department of Transportation's Thriving Communities initiative that is working towards a holistic government-wide framework for providing technical assistance and capacity-building resources those most in need to improve and foster thriving communities throughout the country. For more information, please contact Jacob Burney or Esther Sosa. Click the map below to see the 17 EJTCACs and their partners. Awardees. Underscore 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 underscore. Region Awardee Partner List. 1 University of Connecticut New England Environmental Finance Center. University of Maine. System DBA University Southern Maine. Elevate Policy Lab. Yale School of Public Health, Academic. Institute for New England Native American Studies. University of Massachusetts Boston, Academic. New England Rural Health Association, Nonprofit. Hispanic Health Council, Nonprofit. Environmental Protection Network, Nonprofit. Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Maine Department of Environmental Protection and Governor's Office of Policy Innovation and the Future. 2 West Harlem Environmental Action Incorporated, DBA We Act for Environmental Justice, New York University School of Law Institute for Policy Integrity, Academic. Inter-American University, Academic. Columbia University Climate School, Academic. Environmental Protection Network, Nonprofit, Technical Assistance. Clean Energy Group, Nonprofit, Technical Assistance. New Jersey Environmental Justice Alliance, Nonprofit, Environmental Justice. South Ward Environmental Alliance, Nonprofit, Environmental Justice. 2 Inter-American University of Puerto Rico Metropolitan Campus Week. Community Engineering Corps. NJ Science and Technology University. Vitrina Solidaria. Energy Justice PR. Environmental Protection Network. Department of Economic Development and Commerce of PR and SBDC for Region 2. National Wildlife Federation University of Maryland's, UMD, Center for Community Engagement. Environmental Justice and Health, SIEGE, and Environmental Finance Center, EFC. Morgan State University. West Virginia State University. Centro de Apoyo Familiar. South Baltimore Community Land Trust. Virginia Environmental Justice Collaborative. Overbrook Education Center. Sussex Health and Environmental Network / Sentinels of Eastern Shore Health. Research Triangle Institute, RTI International, North Carolina Central University, Academic / Minority Serving Institution, MSI. University of Memphis, Academic. University of South Carolina, Academic. University of Georgia, Academic. Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, Academic / MSI. Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, Academic / MSI. University of Kentucky, Academic. Jackson State University, Academic / MSI. Environmental Protection Network, Nonprofit. Blacks in Green, BIG, the Midwest Tribal Energy Resources Association, TERRA. Black Environmental Leaders, BEL. Environmental Health Watch, EHW. The School of Public Health, University of Illinois, Chicago. The Smart Energy Design Center, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, SEDAC. University of Minnesota, Academic. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, Academic. Michigan State University, Academic. Purdue University, Academic. Ohio State University, Academic. Great Plains Institute, Nonprofit. Environmental Protection Network, Nonprofit. Community Engineering Corps, Nonprofit. Midwest Tribal Energy Resources Association, Nonprofit. Deep South Center for Environmental Justice, DSCEJ, Academic, Alabama A&M University. Bethune-Cookman University. Spelman College. Dillard University. Jackson State University. North Carolina Central University. South Carolina State University. Tennessee State University. Texas Southern University. Xavier University. Community-based, clean, healthy, educated, safe and sustainable. Unity in the Family Ministry. Education, Economics, Environmental, Climate, and Health Organization. East New Orleans Neighborhood Advisory Commission. Coalition of Community Organizations. Government, U.S. Representative, 2nd District. City of New Orleans Office of Hazard Mitigation. Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. New Orleans City Council District E. Research and Policy, Bullard Center for Environmental and Climate Justice. Alliance for Affordable Energy. Environmental Defense Fund. Environmental Protection Network. Health Impacts of Degraded Environments. Healthy Gulf. Land Loss Prevention Project. Ocean Conservancy. Union of Concerned Scientists. West Atlanta Watershed Alliance. Metropolitan Group. Center for Earth Energy and Democracy. People organized in defense of Earth and her resources. Faith-based, Louisiana General Missionary Baptist Convention and the Baptist Pastors Conference of New Orleans. 6 New Mexico State University NMSU, Academic College of Engineering and Cooperative Extension Service. Beloved Community, Nonprofit. UT Arlington-based Texas Manufacturing Extension Program, Academic, TMAC. Life City, Business/Industry. Santa Fe Green Chamber of Commerce, Nonprofit, SFGCC. Intertribal Council of Louisiana, Nonprofit. Arkansas Capital Corporation, Business/Industry, ACC. Gulf States Renewable Energy Industry Association, Nonprofit, GSREIA, Together, Louisiana, Nonprofit. GAAP Grant Writing Training, Nonprofit. 7 Wichita State University Center for Rural Affairs. Climate and Energy Project. Community Engineering Corps. Environmental Protection Network. Iowa Environment Council. Kansas Rural Center. Kansas State University Engineering Extension. Metropolitan Congregations United. 9. University of Arizona Sonoran Environmental Research Institute, SERI, AZ nonprofit. Public Health Institute, PHI, CA nonprofit. University of Southern California, USC, CA academic. Larson Institute for Health Impact and Equity, NV academic. Hawaii Public Health Institute, HIFI, HI nonprofit. 9. San Diego State University, SDSU Community Climate Action Network, academic. Environmental Protection Network, industry. Center for Creative Land Recycling, nonprofit. University of San Diego's Energy Policy Initiatives Center, academic. Institute for Tribal Environmental Professionals, tribal. Desert Research Institute, nonprofit. Climate Science Alliance, nonprofit education. Pacific RISA, research. University of Guam Center of Island Sustainability, academic. Public Health Alliance, nonprofit. Arizona State University, academic. 10. Willamette Partnership, Portland State University, academic. Rural Community Assistance Corporation, nonprofit. Ally Community Consulting, business. Oregon Public Health Institute, nonprofit. Verde, nonprofit. Boise State University, academic. Kearns and West, private. Community Engineering Corps, nonprofit. 10. University of Washington Akiak Native Community, Swinomish Tribe Education Division. Kuskokwim River Intertribal Fish Commission, CRIFC, tribe. Northwest Indian College. American Indian Studies Department, academic, Center for American Indian and Indigenous Studies, academic. Aldo Leopold Wilderness Research Institute, Federal Agency Research Institute. Clean Energy Institute, Center for Exposures, Diseases, Genomics, and Environment, Industrial Assessment Center, Northwest Center for Occupational Health and Safety, NW Pediatric Environmental Health. Specialty Unit, Pacific Northwest Agricultural Safety and Health Center, academic. National Network of Public Health Institutes, NNPHI, practice. El Centro de la Raza, El Proyecto Bienestar. Front and Centered, Sound Defense Alliance, Community Orgs. National International City/County Management Association Institute for Tribal Environmental Professionals, academic, tribal. National League of Cities, Elected Officials, Local Government. National Forum for Black Public Administrators, Local Government. Urban Sustainability Directors Network, Local Government, Community Organizations. National Institute for Sustainable Communities ATMA Connect, ATMA, a nonprofit technology organization. American Society for Adaptation Professionals, ASAP, a nonprofit association. National Indian Health Board, 574, federally recognized tribes. NIHB works closely with each of the 11 AIHBs across the country, the Tribal Epidemiology Centers, TCs, and tribal governments. Biden-Harris administration announces $177 million for 17 new technical assistance centers across the nation to help communities access historic investments to advance environmental justice. EPA's Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers include a network of over 160 partners to provide resources to unlock access to President Biden's historic investments in America. April 13, 2023. Contact information. EPA Press Office, press@epa.gov. Washington, today, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, announced the selection of 17 Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers, EJTCACs, in partnership with the U.S. Department of Energy that will receive $177 million to help underserved and overburdened communities across the country access funds from President Biden's Investing in America agenda, including historic investments to advance environmental justice. Administrator Reagan announced the 17 technical assistance centers on the Biden-Harris administration's Investing in America tour in New York City, New York with Congressman Adriano Espaillat, New York 13, and We Act for Environmental Justice co-founder and executive director Peggy Shepard, highlighting the president's historic investments in environmental justice. From day one of his administration, President Biden made achieving environmental justice a top priority. Through the Investing in America agenda, the Biden-Harris administration will continue to support and strengthen communities that, for too long, were left out and left behind. We know that so many communities across the nation have the solutions to the environmental challenges they face. Unfortunately, many have lacked access or faced barriers when it comes to the crucial federal resources needed to deliver these solutions, said EPA Administrator Michael S. Reagan. Today we're taking another step to break down these barriers. Establishing these environmental justice thriving communities technical assistance centers across the nation will ensure all communities can access benefits from the President's historic economic plan, which includes groundbreaking investments in clean air, clean water, and our clean energy future. For far too long, overburdened, underserved, and rural communities have lacked the resources and technical assistance they need from the federal government to overcome barriers critical to their energy needs and create new, long-lasting economic opportunities, said U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer M. Granholm. Thanks to President Biden's Investing in America agenda, DOE now has historic levels of new funding to pull from to help revitalize disadvantaged communities across the nation and ensure they're not left behind in our transition to a clean energy future. Each of the technical assistance centers will receive at least $10 million to remove barriers and improve accessibility for communities with environmental justice concerns. With this critical investment, these centers will provide training and other assistance to build capacity for navigating federal grant application systems, writing strong grant proposals, and effectively managing grant funding. In addition, these centers will provide guidance on community engagement, meeting facilitation, and translation and interpretation services for limited English-speaking participants, thus removing barriers and improving accessibility for communities with environmental justice concerns. Each of the technical assistance centers will also create and manage communication channels to ensure all communities have direct access to resources and information. EPA will deliver these resources in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Energy, whose funding allows the EJ tax to provide support for identifying community opportunities for clean energy transition and financing options, including public-private partnerships supporting clean energy demonstration, deployment, workforce development and outreach opportunities that advance energy justice objectives. The formation of the EJ Technical Assistance Centers is in direct response to feedback from communities and environmental justice leaders who have long called for technical assistance and capacity building support for communities and their partners as they work to access critical federal resources. The 17 centers will provide comprehensive coverage for the entire United States through a network of over 160 partners including community-based organizations, additional academic institutions, and environmental finance centers, so that more communities can access federal funding opportunities like those made available through President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act and bipartisan infrastructure law. EPA has selected the following 14 organizations to serve as environmental justice thriving communities technical assistance centers, along with their partners. University of Connecticut, West Harlem Environmental Action Incorporated, Inter-American University of Puerto Rico Metro Campus, National Wildlife Federation, Deep South Center for Environmental Justice, Research Triangle Institute, Blacks in Green, University of Minnesota, New Mexico State University, Wichita State University, University of Arizona, San Diego State University, Willamette Partnership, University of Washington. In addition, EPA has selected 3 national EJ tax that will provide additional assistance across the country, with particular capacity to assist tribes, including International City/County Management Association. Institute for Sustainable Communities. National Indian Health Board. Additional award information for each selectee will be announced in summer 2023. The EJTAC program is part of the federal interagency Thriving Communities Network and delivers on the Biden-Harris administration's Justice 40 initiative to ensure that 40% of the benefits of certain federal investments flow to disadvantaged communities. The new technical assistance centers will help ensure communities with environmental justice concerns can access President Biden's historic investments in America to address generational disinvestment, legacy pollution, infrastructure challenges, and build a clean energy economy that will lower energy costs, strengthen our energy security, and meet our climate goals. Today's announcement builds on the $100 million announced earlier this year under the Environmental Justice Government to Government Program and the Environmental Justice Collaborative Problem-Solving Cooperative Agreement Program, with applications due on April 14, 2023. EPA has also announced $550 million through the Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Grant-Making Program, with applications due May 31, 2023. Learn more about the selectees, their partners, and the EJTAC program. Learn more about environmental justice at EPA. The Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers (EJTAC) program. EPA's new EJ Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers program will establish technical assistance centers across the nation providing technical assistance, training, and related support to communities with environmental justice concerns and their partners. The services provided will include training and assistance on writing grant proposals, navigating federal systems such as grants.gov and sam.gov, effectively managing grant funds, community engagement, meeting facilitation, and translation and interpretation services for limited English-speaking participants. Learn more about the Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers (EJTAC) program. The Environmental Justice Small Grants Program. EPA's EJ Small Grants Program supports and empowers communities working on solutions to local environmental and public health issues. The program is designed to help communities understand and address exposure to multiple environmental harms and risks. For information on grant writing, make sure to check out these federal grant resources. Learn more about the Environmental Justice Small Grants Program. American Lung Association, tell President Biden to improve air quality. This year's State of the Air 2023 Air Quality Report found that more than 1 in 3 people live in areas with unhealthy air quality. The Biden administration can take strong actions to clean up air pollution from cars, trucks, power plants, and oil and gas facilities, and they need to do so fast. Join the American Lung Association in urging the Biden administration to act now to make our air safer and healthier to breathe. Send a message to President Biden asking him to act with urgency to set stronger rules to clean the air and help protect the health of families and promote environmental justice. Take action. Thank you for taking action. United States, Washington, D.C. House Democrats maneuver to force a debt ceiling vote as default looms. House Democrats maneuver to force a debt ceiling vote as default looms. The Washington Post. Rosep View, short message, blame Republicans if the debt ceiling is not raised, and if the U.S. goes into default on its loans on June 1, 2023. Rosep members have bought their own PM2.5 monitors, as the additional cost, added to the cost to their health, of remaining near neighbors of residential wood burners. In order to have more hyper-localized PM2.5 monitoring for everyone, governments, probably health departments, need to give out government-subsidized PM2.5 monitors to any resident who complains of wood smoke entering their yards and infiltrating their homes, because of indoor residential wood burning by their neighbors. This takes money from the government if near neighbors are indigent, and in fairness, the money should come from the government instead of from the harmed parties whether near neighbors are indigent or not. The only way to get the residential wood burning stopped is to use PM2.5 hyperlocalized monitoring, so that data can be stored online available to government authorities to use as evidence of health-harming air pollution emitted from each individual residential wood burner. The cost of enforcement of shutting down polluting wood burners is low when evidence can be gathered without entering homes of residential wood burners, nor having to check whether a wood stove is certified or not. In this way, raising the U.S. debt ceiling and allowing the U.S. government to function normally is relevant to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. U.S. House Democrats may bypass the Republican leaders in passing legislation to raise the nation's debt ceiling if they can get a handful of GOP members to join the effort. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat New York, said the maneuver preserves an important option as a standoff continues between the White House and House Republicans ahead of a looming default on U.S. debt as early as June 1, 2023. Jeffries said Democrats had crafted a special rule that could allow a bipartisan measure to be considered on the House floor through a discharge petition, a procedure that is cumbersome, time-consuming, and rarely successful. Such a petition would require 218 votes to discharge, or release a bill from committee, to start the process for a vote in the full House. https://www.fs.usda.gov/news/releases/biden-harris-announces-new-steps-climate-resilience. Biden-Harris administration announces new steps for climate resilience and forest conservation. Press Office. Washington, April 20, 2023. Today, in anticipation of the upcoming Earth Day celebrations, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, and the Department of the Interior, DOI, announced actions to foster forest conservation, enhance forest resilience to climate change, and inform policymaking on ensuring healthy forests on federally managed lands administered by the USDA Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management, BLM. To support these actions, USDA and DOI worked together to develop several reports, as directed by President Biden's executive order on strengthening the nation's forests, communities, and local economies, EO 14072, which he signed on Earth Day 2022. The executive order calls for inventorying mature and old-growth forests, setting reforestation targets on federally managed lands, and analyzing reforestation opportunities on state, tribal, and private lands. In addition, the Forest Service is releasing a new tool that illustrates the risks and vulnerabilities of climate change across the landscape, along with a call for public input on how national forests and grasslands should be managed for climate resilience. Nevada, Washoe County. A May of Sunshine, Health District kicks off Air Quality Awareness Week, National Bike Month. Washoe Life, Washoe County. Including wildfire smoke, ground-level ozone, engine idling, active transportation, and wintertime wood burning using the hashtag #ACA2023. New Jersey. Rozep view, how unfortunate and unthinking to put a wood-burning fireplace in a former firehouse. Historic Jersey City firehouse transformed into modern living space, look inside. Daily Voice. Been converted into 2 levels, featuring 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, exposed brick walls, heated floors, a wood-burning fireplace, and more. New York State. NYS open burn ban in effect until May 14. Observer Today. Observer Today. Open burning is prohibited in New York State, with some exceptions. Only charcoal or dry, clean, untreated or unpainted wood can be burned. Oklahoma, Tulsa. Exposure to air pollution linked to onset of symptomatic arrhythmia, Tulsa World. Tulsa World. Data on hourly concentrations of 6 air pollutants, fine particles, PM2.5, coarse particles, PM2.5-10, nitrogen dioxide, NO2, sulfur dioxide. Canada. That cozy wood fire is going to cost you more next year, CBC News. CBC. Fire burning in a wood stove. Just like everything else, the cost of firewood is going up on PEI, and the main culprit is a familiar one. Your Canada, Albert, St. Albert. St. Albert under fire restriction. St. Albert Gazette. Wood-burning fire pits must be fully extinguished before being left unattended. Wood-burning fire pits must always be used with a screen spark arrestor. Canada, Newfoundland and Labrador Province. Dry conditions creating wildfire risk in many areas of the province. News releases. Government of Newfoundland and Labrador. To date in 2023, there have been 33 wildfires recorded. Burning, required during forest fire season to burn vegetation, wood and paper products. United Kingdom. News in brief, February 5, 23, letsrecycle.com. Letsrecycle.com. A roundup of news from the recycling industry, including a fire, a seized vehicles, and rules on burning waste wood on bonfires. UK agency extends RPS on burning waste wood on bonfires. The United Kingdom Environment Agency has extended its regulatory position statement, RPS, on burning waste wood on campfires and bonfires. The RPS sets out the measures which must be taken in order to carry out an activity without a permit and not face action from the Environment Agency. The RPS dictates the rules around using waste wood on bonfires. The RPS will now run until January 2026, after being due to expire this year. When burning waste wood in the open during community events, only visibly clean wood that has not been painted or treated with chemical wood preservatives can be used, and only paper and carton quantities necessary to start the fire can be used. The size and location of the fire must also be suitable for the event. The RPS added, do not obtain waste wood for burning from a waste management facility or burn waste wood at a waste management facility. European Union. The peace dividend is over in Europe. Now come the hard trade-offs. Defending against an unpredictable Russia in years to come will mean bumping up against a strained social safety net and ambitious climate transition plans. The Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. Last year, military spending in Europe had its biggest annual rise in 3 decades, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute reported. May 3, 2023. Rosep View, short message, blame Russia. Rosep members have bought their own PM2.5 monitors, as the additional cost, added to the cost to their health, of remaining near neighbors of residential wood burners. In order to have more hyper-localized PM2.5 monitoring for everyone, governments, probably health departments, need to give out government-subsidized PM2.5 monitors to any resident who complains of wood smoke entering their yards and infiltrating their homes, because of indoor residential wood burning by their neighbors. This takes money from the government if near neighbors are indigent, and in fairness, the money should come from the government instead of from the harmed parties whether near neighbors are indigent or not. The only way to get the residential wood burning stopped is to use PM2.5 hyperlocalized monitoring, so that data can be stored online available to government authorities to use as evidence of health-harming air pollution emitted from each individual residential wood burner. The cost of enforcement of shutting down polluting wood burners is low when evidence can be gathered without entering homes of residential wood burners, nor having to check whether a wood stove is certified or not. This article is relevant to residents against wood smoke emission particulates because it details how governments in Europe are now constricting where their money is spent, because the peace dividend from ending the Cold War 33 years ago, when the Berlin Wall came down on November 9, 1989, is ending, because the necessary costs of defending Ukraine against Russian aggression since spring 2022 divert money away from peacetime expenses like fighting climate change and subsidizing health care. Costs. The most relevant part of the article below states that in the European Union, colossal outlays are needed to care for rapidly aging populations, as well as to avoid potentially disastrous climate change. The European Union's ambitious goal, to be carbon neutral by 2050 alone, is estimated to cost between $175 billion and $250 billion each year for the next 27 years. The spending pressures on Europe will be huge, and that's not even taking into account the green transition, said an economics professor at Harvard. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. In the 30 years since the Iron Curtain came crashing down, trillions of dollars that had been dedicated to Cold War armies and weapons systems were gradually diverted to health care, housing, and schools. That era, when security took a back seat to trade and economic growth, abruptly ended with Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year. The peace dividend is gone, said the head of the International Monetary Fund, referring to the mountains of cash that were freed up when military budgets shrank. Defense expenditures have to go up. The urgent need to combat a brutal and unpredictable Russia has forced European leaders to make excruciating budgetary decisions that will enormously affect people's everyday lives. Do they spend more on howitzers or hospitals? And how to pay for it, raise taxes or borrow more? Or both? After the Berlin Wall fell, social spending shot up. Denmark doubled the money it funneled to healthcare between 1994 and 2022, according to the latest figures compiled by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, while Britain increased its spending by more than 90%. Over the same period, Poland more than doubled funding for culture and recreation programs. Germany ramped up investments in the economy. The Czech Republic increased its education budget. Military spending by European members of North Atlantic Treaty Organization and Canada reached a low point in 2014 as the demand for battle tanks, fighter jets, and submarines plummeted. The state of the war. Escalating attacks, signs of an imminent Ukrainian counteroffensive are mounting as both sides step up military strikes and Russian forces move into defensive positions. Before war broke out in Ukraine, military spending by the European members of NATO was expected to reach nearly $1.8 trillion by 2026, a 14% increase over 5 years. Now, spending is estimated to rise up to 65%. That means hundreds of billions of dollars that otherwise could have been used in the peace economy is expected to be redirected to the military. Last week, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute reported that military spending in Europe last year had its biggest annual rise in 3 decades. The demand for military spending will be on display Wednesday when the European Union's Trade Commissioner, Thierry Breton, is expected to discuss his fact-finding tour to determine whether European nations and weapons manufacturers can produce 1 million rounds of 155mm shells for Ukraine this year, and how production can be increased. Poland has pledged to spend 4% of its national output on defense. The German defense minister has asked for an additional $11 billion next year, a 20% increase in military spending. President Emmanuel Macron of France has promised to lift military spending by more than a third through 2030 and to transform France's nuclear-armed military. Some analysts argue that at times cuts in military budgets were so deep that they compromised basic readiness. And surveys have shown that there is public support for increased military spending, pointedly illustrated by Finland and Sweden's about-face in wanting to join NATO. But in most of Europe, the painful budgetary trade-offs or tax increases that will be required have not yet trickled down to daily life. What has squeezed households is skyrocketing energy prices and stinging inflation. France has entered into a war economy that I believe we will be in for a long time, French President Macron said in a speech. France's government spending as a percentage of the economy, at €1.4 trillion, $1.54 trillion, is the highest in Europe. Of that, nearly half was spent on the nation's generous social safety net, which includes unemployment benefits and pensions. Debt has also spiraled in the wake of the pandemic. Yet Mr. Macron has vowed not to increase what is already one of the highest tax levels in Europe for fear of scaring off investors. In Britain, in March, that government unveiled a budget that included a $6.25 billion bump in military spending. UK doctors joined strikes and complained that underfunding, double-digit inflation and the pandemic's aftermath have crippled healthcare. The budget included a $4.1 billion increase for the National Health Service over the same two-year period. Romania has pledged to lift military spending this year by 0.5% of national output. The shift in government spending is perhaps most striking in Germany, where defense outlays plunged after the reunification of the former East and West German nations in 1990. Asia. India, New Delhi. World Asthma Day 2023, watch out for these 8 uncommon asthma triggers. ndtv.com. ndtv.com. Smoke from wood-burning stoves can irritate airways and trigger asthma symptoms. Make sure to avoid close contact with the same. New Delhi Television Ltd, NDTV, is an Indian news media company focusing on broadcast and digital news publication. Iran, Bishapur. Bishapur and wood-burning Press TV. Press TV. Us back to history to visit the Bishapur region in Fars province. In the second part, Hoda Lesji will introduce the Iranian art of wood burning. PM2.5 and health effects. Wood smoke is 90% PM2.5. PM2.5 and asthma. How to prevent asthma attacks. Mint. If you have asthma and you still smoke, you are inviting dangerous asthma. Please try and avoid the areas where wood is burning in a stove or PM2.5 and birth. How air pollution and climate change impacts infants and birthing people. Contemporary pediatrics. Nitrogen dioxide, number 2, particulate matter, PM, including PM with a median diameter less than 10 micrometers, PM10, and less than 2.5 micrometers, PM2.5. PM2.5 and heart arrhythmia. Virtual pollution statistically linked to irregular heartbeats in China. Science 2.0. Science 2.0. PM2.5 is now big business in the US, California, and 12 other states rely on it to control automobile manufacturers, so activist epidemiologists and exposure to air pollution linked to onset of symptomatic arrhythmia. Physicians Weekly. Physicians Weekly. Data on hourly concentrations of 6 air pollutants, fine particles, PM2.5, coarse particles, PM2.5-10, nitrogen dioxide, NO2, sulfur dioxide. Exposure to air pollution linked to onset of symptomatic arrhythmia. Health, KXLY.com. KXLY.com. Exposure to PM2.5-10 was associated with elevated odds of atrial flutter and supraventricular tachycardia, 8.7 and 5.4%, respectively, while exposure to air pollution linked with symptomatic arrhythmia. Medscape. Medscape. Particulate matter less than 2.5 m, PM2.5. Particulate matter less than 10 m, PM10. Nitrogen dioxide NO2. Sulfur dioxide SO2. Carbon monoxide CO ozone O3. PM2.5 and sleep, decreased efficiency. Air quality, noise among environmental variables linked to decreased sleep efficiency. Helio. High PM2.5 was associated with a 3.2% decline in sleep efficiency compared with low PM2.5. I wasn't expecting a hit on 4 out of the 6 measured. PM2.5 and technology. EVs are cleaning up California's air, but mostly for the wealthy. Bloomberg Law News. Bloomberg Law News. They then modeled estimated emissions of carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide, as well as PM 2.5, particulate matter 2.5 micrometers.